Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Welcome back to the channel. Thank you, as always, for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Don't forget, smash that like button before you do forget. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really do appreciate it. Let's go. So this is kind of funny, okay? I think. Hopefully you do as well. But I also want to use it to talk a little bit about MVP and what that means and the whole Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson debate. So this is I forget now. Just women's sports. Is that I think that's the podcast this was this, but this is Kelly O'Hara, who I know very well. I mean, I don't know her well personally. I know her very well from her career, but I have actually met her a long time ago. One of the greatest women's soccer players around, had a phenomenal career at Stanford. I think I'm not sure if it's been broken since, but she set the scoring record. I believe she had 57 goals, 32 assists. Longtime member of the U.S. Women's National Team, 2 World Cup titles, and on and on. But they're going to talk about Caitlin Clark, so we need to listen to this. Oh, this is kind of wild.
In the sports betting world, Caitlin Clark is a front runner for MVP, which I was surprised about.
Okay, before we dig into that, that's shocking. Like, Kelly, 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 really? Did you do any research? I mean, you brought up this topic to talk about Caitlin Clark and the MVP, and why would she was first team All WNBA last year and fourth in MVP voting as a rookie. You know, rookies usually that's not for most players, that's not the best year they have. They get better. So a little surprise, Kelly. But wait, there's more.
I mean, my thing is last season she was number 7 in total points.
Okay.
She averaged about 19. Asia Wilson averaged 26.
Right.
That's a big difference.
I don't know
You know what I mean?
My head hurts so much right now. My heart hurts even more. It's like I'm not I can't remember now who this is. It's not someone I know well. Like I wouldn't recognize the name. And I really don't want to trash her, but you're gonna have a conversation on a podcast talking sports, and you're gonna talk about MVP, and you're gonna say, well, this player had 26 points a game and this had 19, and well, that's a big difference. As that's the only thing they look at. Do you realize in the NBA, and I'm sure in the WNBA as well, players win the MVP award without being the leading scorer. There's a title for that. It's the scoring title. It's not the same thing as the MVP. It might be a little more related in soccer just because, goals are at a premium. You get a lot of 1-0 games, 2-1 games, and so forth. And which again, something Kelly should understand. Okay. But we're gonna circle back to that, as they like to say nowadays.
Intel's like setting these odds, but I don't think she could be in the running. I mean, maybe most improved, which is crazy to say, but I mean, I think Caitlin Clark has another level that she hasn't reached yet, and her having the ability to rest during this off season and build muscle that like people might twist my words and be like, most improved, what are you talking about? But I just think she has an untapped level that she could really take that step up to be like Asia Wilson or Stewie, like one of those big names. So,
And I do think having that muscle is really important in the WNBA because these women are stronger, faster, everything. And I saw the pictures of her. I was like,
Yeah, dude.
she's been putting in that work in the offseason.
people said it was AI.
My God, what the fire truck is happening? Funny thing is, this lady, she has no idea that she did it, but she just actually made the case for why Caitlin Clark is a leading MVP candidate. She was all she was all WNBA first team. Okay, there's only 5 of those, 5 players on that. She was fourth in the MVP voting. She had one of the best seasons ever. We know all the records, right? by the way, set the record for combined points with points scored and assists. If we want to get into that, oh, it's the points thing, going back to what that other lady said, Caitlin Clark has far more combined points when you factor in assists than Asia Wilson does. So by that logic, if you want to take that to the next step, and that makes sense, you would say it was Caitlin Clark. But so you're taking one of the best seasons a WNBA player's had. Absolutely, it's got to be maybe you could make an argument for Candace Parker's, but you can say Caitlin Clark had the best rookie season ever. And by the way, if like Candace Parker, fan voting was part of it, we all know Caitlin Clark would be would be the MVP. But to say that she's going to take the season that she had and become the most improved player on top of that, yet you don't think she's in the running for MVP, somebody help me out in the comments below. I almost don't know how to process this absolute insanity. And again, I don't want to bash them. Like, I don't think there's an agenda here. They seem very nice. They're having a good time talking about it. They just have no idea what they're talking about. And that's a problem because, just say, hey, I don't really know enough to weigh in on this, so I'm going to look kind of silly if I take a stand and explain why I'm taking that stand, like, oh, well, Asia averaged 26 points and Caitlin averaged 19. You sound absurd, right? You sound absolutely absurd. So, by the way, we'll take a look individually just at a couple of things. Yes, Asia Wilson, right? There's Caitlin's 19.2. There's Asia Wilson's 26.9. Asia Wilson took almost 20 shots a game, over 19 and a half, while Caitlin took 14 and a half. Where it really gets separated on points is Asia Wilson, to quote Angel Reese, some people got that special whistle, the person who has it more than anyone in the league. And even Asia Wilson fans on an honest day will admit it. No one has a whistle like Asia Wilson, which is why she averaged like over 7 free throws a game, right? 7.2 free throw attempts per game, while Caitlin Clark averaged only 4.5. And Caitlin Clark's a better free throw shooter. Caitlin shot the ball better. Her effective field goal percentage was better than Asia Wilson's. Her 2-point, by the way, 522. Her 2 was 53.3. Her E was 522. Asia Wilson, who should be much better from 2, was 53.6, right? Almost a wash. And 53.1 EFG. And but then total, I think it's total shooting percentage. Caitlin gets her. Asia, I think, nudges her in points per shot. But then what separates them, right? Because now we're looking at individual stuff, which matters to a degree. Obviously, you have to have some stats. But again, Caitlin Clark, points and assists, points from assists combined, far outpace Asia Wilson. I think Caitlin was like at 1594, and Asia was around 1200 or so. And I think something like 1100, right? She had over 1,000 points. Let me just double check that number, the total number, 1021. Right, but she only had 88 assists, right? So I think she had like a little under 1,200, right around 1,200. Big difference between Caitlin Clark and Asia Wilson there. But the big key, what Caitlin Clark did, unlike Asia Wilson, was she made her team better. They were better because of Caitlin Clark. That is a rarity, and that's where the valuable part comes into play. Asia Wilson took a team that was 34-6, and I know Chelsea Gray came back after a few games and she was hurt. It wasn't quite the same, but there were still, 5 or 6 Olympians, 4, I believe 4 American Olympians on that team, and Chelsea Gray was still an Olympian. And she took that team, which had won back-to-back titles, and they had a worse record by far, went from 34 wins to 27, and got knocked out 3-1 in the second round of the playoffs. Asia Wilson did not make her team better. She did not make the players around her better. She did not raise their level of play, whereas Caitlin Clark absolutely did. You had a team that went 13-20. And despite that insane schedule that they were given for their first 11 games in 20 days, multiple back-to-backs, they played some of the top teams in the league, Liberty, the Sun. They played them multiple times. It was insane for that schedule. She elevated the play of her teammates and made them better. I don't know if there's a better example than Lexi Hull. If we look at Lexi Hull in her career, let's look at Lexi Hull. It's her third season, right? Her first two seasons, 26.7% from the field, then 37.2% from the field. 18.6% from three, then 21.7% from three the next year. Then with Caitlin Clark, 44.1% overall field goal percentage, 47.1% from three, which we know is what, about a tenth of a percent of a point off the league lead. She finished second in that category. And she took slightly more threes too. So it's not like she greatly reduced her number and more. She went from 1.7 to 2 to 2.1 3-point attempts in her first 3 years. Her EFG, the first two seasons, was 30.5%, 41.7%. Her EFG with Caitlin Clark was 56.3%. And by the way, the Indiana Fever went from the middle of the pack to leading the league in effective field goal percentage as well. She elevated the play of every single player around her, something Asia Wilson did not do. And that is where I stake my claim to Caitlin Clark was the MVP last season. And I know that's where you get into subjectivity a little bit, which is why I did the best I could to kind of break it down with numbers. Oh, and the one last thing I would give you, because I think this is also too, right, is I think we're all in agreement that as good a player as Kelsey Mitchell has been, she had the best offensive year of her career last year with Caitlin Clark with numbers that went up as well, right? She's a career 46.6% shooter from three. I mean, from two, got 52.3% last year. Her EFG is career 51.2%, career high 55.9% last year. And she was just off her career high for threes, 40.2%. A few years ago, she was at 40.9, but she took 1.1 more per game now with Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark absolutely helped Kelsey Mitchell elevate her game. She got a lot more good looks. She started getting out and running, getting to the basket, after those adjustment games, right? Started catching those. So Caitlin Clark 100% had a more positive impact in terms of value to her team than Asia Wilson did. And this idea that you can say she could be the most improved player and yet not an MVP candidate. And you could say, well, it's a huge gap from ages 26 to 19. Like, my heart hurts when I hear stuff like this. Like, we've got a lot of work to do to elevate the WNBA and the discourse around it into what we get with other professional leagues. But I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Oh, two separate things. Just I mean, this could be comical genius, right? Maybe they're playing us, but on what they're saying, let me know about that. But then also what you think about the whole most valuable player thing. I think that word valuable is the key. You can be the best player in the league in terms of your individual performance and not be the most valuable player. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, appreciate you checking out this video. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell. There's one of those too. Go have the day you deserve. I will talk to you later.